Okay, so we've gone through the tutorial to understand how to change data sets to make a rope-like structure. Let's see if we can build on that to make a fabric. So fabrics are woven together, so we need to understand how we can sort of build our data structure to create that weaving pattern. So I'm going to turn this preview off, and I'm going to start with a new sort of structure. Copy from the previous tutorial, plain structure and the divide. Let's go back up to 10 points so that we have 10 by 10 structure. Okay, so the first thing I want to do is understand how I can separate out some components. We've already started to do that a little bit. Remember when we were doing the tree branch. So if I take a tree branch and I say simplify this one so I have 0 through 10. Say I want 5 out of this. I can get this branch like that. Alright? So let's say which ones I want to choose. Well, I can essentially take the parameter viewer, all of these, and maybe I want to randomly select ones from that. So I can use a random component, and I'll choose say a dispatch pattern. So I can take all of these, this sort of pattern that I'm getting out of here, and I'll randomly select some of those. I need to know how many I have. So a list of these. And so I can take this list to the number that I want. And I'm going to make a number between 0 and 1. So let's flatten this. 21. Well, let's take the list. Sorry, not the list of the points, but the list of the branches. So I actually I only have 11 branches. That's actually what I want. Oh, get this back to where it was. There you go. Okay, so I have 11 branches, and I want to make a pattern that's either 0 or 1. So this is giving me decimals right now. I can change that to integers, and it will give me a random pattern of 0 or 1 that I can use to dispatch these. So all the ones that are 1s go to A, 0, 3, 6, 10. All the ones that are 0s go to B. So then I can take this pattern, put a panel on that so you can see it. That's the pattern that I have. I can take just those components. So let's see which ones those are. So you can see this is giving me a list of this one, this one, this one, and this one. And it gives me all of those points. So let's build, say, the weaving pattern has a warp and a weft. That's the points in this direction and the points in that direction. So let's, from these, I'm going to turn all these other ones off so we can just work with those. So just those points. Okay, so from these I can then also make a sort of dispatch pattern that picks the points up. So let's see if I have a panel. I can say 0, 0, 1. Make that multi-line text. So this I can make my point pattern. This I'll call my line pattern. Line pattern, point pattern. So I can dispatch these points. So separate them out. Points and pattern. If I look at what that's doing, this is taking a pattern 0, 0, 1, 0, 0, 1, 0, 0, 1. So you can get both of those and give them a different scenario for each one. Okay, so let's take just the A's right now. I'm gonna hide those. So let's move these in response to that original surface. So I'm going to say like the normal to that surface. I want to move them. So something I can do is get the surface closest point. So I can take these points and I can take this original surface. That gives me a value of that surface. But more importantly, it allows me to evaluate that surface. So take this surface again. And plug in this UVP, which just gives me where that point is on that surface. It'll give me a normal. So I want to move this point normal to that surface by some value. So let's move. I'm going to take these points, move them normal to the surface. So it's going to move it up. Now if I want to give it a specific value, I can take that vector, give it an amplitude, I can make it smaller or larger. Okay. Now let's do the same thing. Let's copy all this down. Let's do the same thing except let's copy the point as well. Let's do the same thing except I'm going to switch it to the rest of the points. And instead of moving them up, I'm going to flip this vector around. So I'm going to reverse it. Move this down. So if I hide all these things, what I have left is a set of points that go down, up, down, up. So we're starting to build that weaving pattern from splitting these things apart, and then all we have to do now is put them back together. So there's a component that's literally called weave. And so the A was the ones that were ones. So these patterns need to go back into 1. And the B was the pattern that was 0, so they need to go back into 0. And then the pattern, we actually want the same pattern that we used before for the point pattern to weave them back together. So the dispatch pulls them apart, and the weave puts them back together. So what we should have are sets of points. Three from this side and 8 from that side that we then put together, and now we have 11 again. So let's look at this curve. Let's see, I actually want to interpolate. Let's make an interpolated curve. If I put these together, you can see how that's starting to weave. If I pipe that like I did last time, let's make that radius a little smaller. I can get one direction of my weave pattern. In the next video, we'll talk a little bit about building that whole geometry across into woven fabric.